Hey, Troy, welcome to the show. Is where you getting started? Tell us about yourself.
Oh, absolutely, Ryan. Thanks for having me. Been a big fan of the show. You could say I'm a longtime listener, or first time caller, if you
Yep.
will. So my name is Troy Flugner. Born and raised in South Bend, Indiana. Go Irish. But I live outside of Indianapolis, and I work for a company called Zoll Medical Corporation, where I'm a regional sales leader for a Central region. Um, Best job in the world, man. I really do believe that. We don't just sell solutions. Myself and our team, we sell life-saving devices that are used by unexpected people. They're called AEDs, or automated external defibrillators,
Yep.
and they're used in an emergency when someone has a cardiac arrest and their worst day of their life. Those devices are available in public and with first responders that will go to that victim and save them, where otherwise death for them is certain. So I get to save lives for a living, and that's it's pretty awesome.
Cool. And much like what you did before when you were selling uniforms, right?
Yeah, you did a little homework, huh? Yeah,
Yeah. I got to be prepared.
yeah, for sure. A little pre-call planning. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked for an organization many people know, and in my opinion, one of the best sales organizations, one of the best sales training organizations in the world, Cintas Corp. I sold uniforms and protective apparel and workplace image programs. That the experience that I got from that, man, it was awesome. It
It
really was.
seems to be like one of those places like ADP where there's like highly competitive, really tough to sell. Um, kind of that first great sales job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was recruited out of that job, into that job. I worked for Nextel, if you remember the beep beep.
Yep.
Remember when that was cool? When you can just be interrupted in a meeting out of nowhere. But I worked in a store setting, and then evolved to a business to business account executive. And one of my clients was Cintas. The general manager of a local branch approached me one day and said, "Hey, you ever think about selling uniforms? This is a thing?" Like, yeah, I'll do it.
It's a thing.
Never looked back, man. It's just a great company, and um, great experience.
Yeah. And what was the impetus that got you from B to C to B to B?
Oh, that's such a good question, and I'm happy to answer it because it's probably one of the most memorable, from the heart, one
Yeah.
of the most memorable sales experiences that I had, or successes. I remember sitting down, and at some point you may watch this if you decide that I'm not too ugly to be on live or on TV here, but I sat down with the general manager, and he's asked me, he goes, "Why should I put a retail guy out in the field to call on businesses? You got to be crazy." And I'm like, "Who is this guy? Why would I be crazy? Sales is sales." Well, little did I know, that now I know what he was saying. But one of the biggest successes of my career was I convinced him that I was the best guy for that job, and that I could do it. And again, never looked back. Was successful in that. Got recruited out of it to go to Cintas,
And,
and
and
then
I
that
try
brought me
and
here to Zoll.
and I try and tell young salespeople that B2B is the best kept secret out there.
It is. Agreed.
Because I did retail when I was in school, and I was on commission, and I thought it was the cat's meow. What could be better than this?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
And it was another guy in retail who told me, "Get the hell out of here."
Right. Yeah.
And I go, "What? You're living the dream." He was a guy in a nice suit, was making okay money, not bad money, and was a good-looking guy. Got to meet a lot of young ladies every day. It was in the mall,
Right. Right.
and but then I found out about B2B,
Yeah.
and I find out that their bases were higher than my target. you know?
And you didn't have to go to the mall every day.
Didn't have to stand up all day.
Yeah, you didn't have to stand up all day.
Didn't
I
have to
went
work on Saturday.
right. Right. Oh, brutal. The
or
brutal.
or working to 9 o'clock at night.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I was at the Nextel, I was inside. I was a retail consultant, right? We got paid. pretty well. I mean, when I was I worked through college, and when I was a junior and then senior in college, I was pulling down about 65 grand a year coming from that job. My friends thought I was the man. You know,
Yeah.
but it was a great job. But I remember going out at 4 o'clock in the morning on Black Friday. It's like, we're going to get sales. We got these goals. It's 200. We're going to sell 200 units, and the data and the combination of things. And again, never look back. But I remember getting up at 3 o'clock and going out and putting flyers on windows at Lowe's and Best Buy, and thinking to myself, is this really going to work? And that particular year, man, we killed it. We killed it. We sold a ton of phones, but I don't miss that. I value it, value the experience,
Yeah.
and everybody's got to go through it to get to the level they want to get to, but man, was it great.
It is good. The only challenge is it can be a trap, especially with, you're in college, you're making a lot more than your peers. So you think you've arrived
Yeah,
and you don't look any further. The problem is you don't want to wake up and be 40, right? And be heading to the mall on Black Friday.
so
And,
true.
and that's what this other guy was trying to tell me.
Yeah,
And thank God I listened to him.
yeah, thank God, right?
Well,
We could be
yeah,
having this conversation in
the brutal
the
truth
cell
about
phone
retail.
service. Right, yeah, right.
What made you get out of Cintas?
You know, the opportunity, I love, again, I love that job so much, and I did well at it. I worked long hours, and I figured out how the art of the cold call, the art of the phone call, and how to structure the discipline. And I figured out a lot of things there, but I had a recruiter call me and said, hey, I've got this company that's selling med devices, and you've talked to enough salespeople, everybody, med device. Wow. Like, well, you must be something. I'm
Doctor.
thinking, okay, what is it? She's like, well, it's AEDs, defibrillators, and Cintas sells defibrillators. In fact, one of, if not the largest partner to Zoll, company I'm with now. I'm working with people that I started and grew up with this, just as the manufacturer side on the defib. So couldn't be better. But called me and said, you want to get into this? And I'm thinking, who is this lady? You don't know us. We sell AEDs. We're Cintas. She goes, oh, I didn't know that, and it was a different back then. But I I never knew what I was really truly getting into, and I'm so thankful that I had that opportunity and that she called me,
Yeah.
because what's better than making a good living, providing for your family, being happy, all things that matter. And I think that's why a lot of people do sales. They work hard, they play hard. I'm certainly one of those guys, but I get to save lives.
And I like how you're focusing on the outcome of the product versus what it does or
Absolutely.
how it works.
Absolutely.
And I checked out I'm on your LinkedIn page right now, and the content that you're sharing is that story of your customers saving lives,
Yep. Yep.
because that's what they want to do. That's what their customer wants to do.
Right. Right.
And that's what you want to do.
Exactly right. There's no better story to tell when you look at some of the vertical markets that we call on. One of the big ones, law enforcement. And one of the greatest honors in my life has been to serve with that group and get to know inside that brother and sisterhood, and just being really entrenched in it. These men and women are going out every day, and they're responding to 911 calls and pulling out their defibrillators, saving each other, saving people. And I truly can't see myself ever doing anything else, because it feels like it was just a match made in heaven. It really was.
Look at that.
It sounds as corny as it can get,
Yeah.
but it was a match for me.
But that market can be pretty difficult as well, state, local.
It can be, and if you got the discipline and the drive, a high degree of self-awareness, and many other things, buzzwords, right? You can tap into it, and you figured it out. And I did that, along with many of my colleagues that I serve with here at Zoll. I figured it out.
And what's your role today? Is it a
So yeah, thanks for asking. I'm a regional sales manager. So I manage the central region at Zoll, which is comprised of about 16 states, about one third of the
Wow.
country, and you know, multi-million dollar business, several million dollars worth of business. And I have channel partner managers that are part of my team, about 8 of them, actually hiring in Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana. There's a shameless plug there for any really great sales pros, right? That want to join a great company and a great cause. Um, but yeah, they're charged with working through the distribution channel, like a Cintas and others that visit customers every day and are selling them products and can offer them AEDs as well.
And how many reps report to you?
Uh, we'll be 9.
Wow.
So we hired this one.
And what was that like going from being an individual contributor to being a leader?
Yeah, yeah. I did it. I did it next though. I was a store manager
Yeah.
after I was an account executive, and after that experience, I thought, oh, if I ever want to do this again. So I've had my doubts. I wanted to be, you know, bank on myself, um, and being in that role as a channel partner manager, area manager, multiple names that we call ourselves, you know, sales reps selling AEDs. I I began to get, as I got better and better, and understood and could tap into the markets that we talked about, I found myself becoming more and more of a mentor. And don't get me wrong, for people who are watching, for you, like sales manager, being a sales manager and a sales leader is no, they're not the same thing, right? It's part of it, of course. But in 2015, however many years I was into the job, I've been there 12 years this month. I decided I was going to play my hand and say, all right, this is the chance. This is the chance. The East Region manager job came open. One half of the country, working, being responsible for about 10 to 12 reps at the time. And I got on a plane. They got me on a plane, and I flew. Again, I'm from Indiana. If you know where that's at, most people can't point out a map. It's just corned beef. Right? I'm a corn-fed Indiana boy, right? And they put me on a plane to go to New York City, and I'd be managing everything east of the Mississippi. Man, when I flew over Manhattan in 2015, 14, whatever it was, oh, I was like, no, forget this. What the corn-fed Indiana do I do in New York City? You know, these New Yorkers are the toughest. You know, thinking Massachusetts, they're the toughest people on the planet, and what am I doing here? I got cold feet and I bombed it. I bombed it. Um, and I came back, and the better man got that job, and helped me grow and became my manager. And I came back in 2016. I was number 1 rep in the country, where I'd been dabbling in number 2, number 3, first up, if you will. And then it evolved into this mentorship. I was training. I ended up training most, if not all, of the reps in the company, and decided, you know what? I get to change the trajectory of people's lives on their worst day with the devices, products we're selling. How great would it be if I get to do 2 things? I can actually help lead and give others an opportunity that I had, and create a culture and environment where they're successful and maybe want to do what I do, or maybe just want to stay as a sales guy or gal. I can change the trajectory of their lives. And thus here I am. I get, you know, I get the best job in the world.
Yeah. And did the East Coast ones, did it scare you? Did you feel you weren't ready? Did you weren't a match? It wasn't you?
I didn't feel like I had a lot of self-doubt on that plane flying into LaGuardia.
It's
First time.
scary. It's scary.
First time, again, from Indiana, you know, I can see downtown. There's 2 buildings you can see here, right? Not a lot.
Yeah.
And not having that experience of dealing with East Coasters, or the proverbial, you know, these are tough people, and they are some of the toughest in the world. But I got self-doubt. I lost my confidence, and I bombed that interview. I came back in 2019. As the company, we went through all kinds of turmoil. We were later acquired by Zoll, so Zoll was my competitor, and I had an opportunity to step up and lead the East region. And this time I was ready.
Yeah. And what do you like about leadership? Is it that what you described as far as the mentoring?
Yeah, mentoring's part of it, right? But I said they're 2 very different things, as you know, and anyone that's made that transition knows. We hear all the time that people are, The best salespeople, and that sticks in the back of my head, the best salespeople don't make the best managers
Not at
necessarily,
all.
and I didn't want to be that person, not at all. So I focus on uh, continuing to educate myself. I do not know everything. I got guys that are on my team that have been in the game a lot longer than I have, and I have mad respect for them. I learn from them every day, but my primary goal is development of people and help them be successful at their job and add value to what they're doing. I'm not a manager that sits behind the desk and likes to look at spreadsheets all day. Get me out.
Yeah.
Like this whole COVID thing's been driving me nuts. I'm thankful that I've been traveling back on the travel gig. So
So how do you get that stuff done, the administrative, the operation stuff done without it consuming your life?
great question. I don't. I'm just kidding.
I ignore it.
I'm just kidding. You again, it goes back to the same things we have as a sales pro is you got to have the discipline, the day to day doing in theory the same thing every day and having a structure. So I spend the time on planes to do some of the administrative things. When I'm at hotels, you're away from your family. I got two little boys, 6 and 9, and one of them is we call him Bam Bam. If that gives you an indication.
I think I know what that means.
My childhood coming back to haunt my wife. Um, so I, I get things done in the hotel room. You can focus. So it's a constant juggle. And I'll never forget the CEO that interviewed when I took the job at then Cardiac Science he talked about balance, and life is always a balance, whether no matter what you're doing, and you're never going to find the exact perfect balance, but you got to try to keep it right here.
Yeah. And how about as far as with the people that think they're perfect already? I don't know if you've ever run into that. No?
Yeah, right.
I like to give you a curveball.
Yeah, people that are perfect. There's plenty of them. Um, you're not perfect. Uh, nobody's perfect, right? And your sales managers aren't perfect. Just your VPs aren't perfect. And the moment that you realize that you're not perfect, and you have a little bit of humility and you're humbled around, learn from the people that are around you, strategically and tactically, you'll be better.
Yeah.
You'll be able to actually outgrow where you're at right now if you want to grow up.
And I think that's like the first step is knowing that or owning it,
Owning it, right?
instead of pushing it away and to somebody else or something else other than you.
Yep.
And what's your process to help improve them?
It's I spend a lot of time in the field, and the first thing I feel like I when I say add value to them, it is they got to see me doing things. And this pandemic has been it's been crazy, turning all of our worlds upside down. We can't see people, we can't do those type of things. So even more importantly now is I've got to lead, and they got to see me doing things. They got to see me travel. They got to see me get out in front, get out with them, get in front of the customers, and that's where it's got to start, because I'm the leader. And if I'm not doing it, or if I'm behind the desk saying, oh, you ought to, you hit your KPIs today, no, I'm not gonna build a culture, a successful team collectively around that, or individuals. So they've got to see me lead first. And when I'm out with them, everybody's different. I've learned that, and that was probably the biggest, toughest transition is I have a mindset that I'm just going to outwork the next guy. That's my mindset as a sales rep, and as a kind of as a manager too. Always keep that fire, but it kind of also puts you in a position where transitioning to sales leadership was, why aren't they doing this? Why can't they see this? I don't get it. And I realized that they don't expect them to be you, the exact mirror image of you. Everybody has to be managed differently. So to answer your question, it is different across the board. Some of my people, and I've got a great team, very blessed for that. Some of my people want to see me more. They want to see me do it. They want, hey, you show me how you do this, a cold call. Show me how you work with this distributor. Sure, I'll do that. They want to see that. Others, they don't want to see that. They don't want me to talk. And they don't want me to get in the car and say, this is what you did wrong. This is what you did wrong. So I got to approach them a little bit differently. And I usually do that by asking questions. How do you think, how do you think that went? What'd you think about this? Did you notice such and such a face at this time? Checking their self-awareness, checking their, from a product knowledge. Hey, I really like the way that you did this with the device. And let me show you something that I did. Give me your feedback on this. And as they see and you have those conversations, I think light bulbs can go off, not all the time, but the light bulbs will go off, and they'll add that into their motions, if you will.
And how do you decide who to spend your time with?
Oh, that's a really good question. I ask myself that every day. I kind of I've really, I think, started more recently, again, because of the pandemic. It just shook us all up, with the ones that I think wanted to see me the most, the ones that wanted to see me do it, the ones that I started there, and then it went to the ones I have a team that is performing and doing a very excellent job. And I mean that they are the best that they can in this environment. So I don't have any underperformers right now, but I always have people. Everybody can improve on things, but I start with people that want to see me go out, spend 2 or 3 days with them, and then I'll move to the next guy and just kind of put them in a pecking order of, starting with that.
So you don't feel like there's anybody on your team that isn't going to make it, or you don't have to out anybody, but just.
I don't. I am, like I said, I'm blessed to have acquired some during an acquisition. I'm managing half of what I managed at the previous company, and then we got acquired the new company, which a competitor. I'm managing and leading guys that I competed against.
Yeah.
So the really delicate, even coming out of the gates, really delicate. We were in the field head to head for a decade. So I'm still, I feel like I will always be in that zone of, I have to be mindful of that, right? For them, for myself, that we were competitors, and understanding what their goals and where they want to go, what's their trajectory. I'll build a plan around that.
Yeah.
Each person's different.
And was there anything when you were a rep or an individual contributor that you saw in leadership that annoyed you and that you kind of said you'd never want to do?
Oh yeah. You know what? One of the reasons I admire you so much is sometimes when no, every day I watch, I got the notification on YouTube, and I'll watch the long versions, listen to the podcast, and I love your parodies, man. I love them. The one that sticks out to me is the forecast one. Hey, can you tell me what your gut is? What's your gut feeling?
You have a better gut.
Right. Yeah. You have a better gut? And I think to myself, when did I say that? Oh my gosh. I may have not said that exact thing, but I did say that. I don't do that again. Don't do that again. That's not the right way to do it. And have some substance, dig in deal by deal, dig into the process, which is, I love you for, man. You are doing such a great service for these salespeople, sales pros out there.
Yeah. I mean, because I think today there's a lot of people getting into leadership and treating it like operations.
Yeah.
Instead of leadership.
Yep. Or treating just as management, that they think their job is to be the boss. I'm the boss all the time, and I know everything. And
right.
So just so wrong. You're not gonna gain mind share. I'm not saying you got to be everybody's friend. That's not the goal at all. You got to gain the mind share, and you got to have the respect.
And I think that's kind of because a lot of people are solely on the inside. There's the the rows of the standing desks and everybody hitting their cadence button as fast as they can. Yep. And they're not treating the prospects like people, and they're not treated like people. So it's kind of like a factory feel, instead of they hire people to be salespeople because they're selling to people.
Right.
If a robot would do it, they'd have a robot do it.
Sure. So I've seen some organizations that I think have done that, right?
Oh,
Um, just make the website better, or add this on there. Yeah, I've seen that. Yes.
and how do you rein that in, or do you feel yourself falling into that activity trap or KPI trap, or?
As I'm watching you, man, no. As long as I'm reading and being a student of this profession, sure, I'll fall. You fall into traps, and that's why you continue. You invest in. I invest personally in reading books and taking something out of that. Listening is typically what I do. Watching your podcast to not fall into those traps, because you're so correct. And it's focus so much on the activity, and the KPIs and this and that. We don't have KPIs here. We have
Right.
Salesforce. It's a necessary evil. And there's folks that like it, embrace it, use it for what it is. Some that do it because they're told they have to do it, which is great as well. And you know, it's a necessary evil. And I have to manage when someone would be falling short, right? They're not performing. One of the things I'm going to have to go manage is I do have to manage activity. Are you doing the right things? Oh, I'm calling on 15 people a day and dropping off cards and this and that. That's great. Quantity versus quality. We'll focus on more sharpening your skills.
Yeah.
So on what you're saying versus how many times you can say the same thing over and over and just drop off the card. So
Cool. Hey, this has been a fun conversation. Where can people go to connect and follow you?
uh you know it's Troy Flugner. It's PFLUGNER. I think I got a middle name in there, Troy C. Flugner at LinkedIn. Would be great. Um,
And you
yeah,
got openings where?
I have openings. Thank you, Brian. I have opening in Missouri, Arkansas, and Louisiana, managing that business unit there as one of our channel partners managers. Anyone that would be interested can apply at zoll.com under careers, and you'll find it as a channel partner manager listing.